Ladies and gentlemen, we are live. Thank you very much for joining me. And we are back for another episode, another podcast. And we've got UFC 303 this weekend. We've been back. We were away for a while. And you may look at my face a little bit and you think, oh, Lenny's looking a little bit darker, a little bit more tanned. That's right. I was back on holiday. But we are back now and we are really good. We are lucky for an event this weekend, UFC 303 this weekend. As you can see behind me, Alex Mahera, JIRI in the main event, number 2. But firstly, Oscar, we go to you. How are you?
Very good. How can it not be good when it is officially International Fight Week? The festivities have already begun. The Hall of Fame was yesterday. UFC X is going on right now. And Saturday night, we will be treated to an outstanding night of fights. We have a very exciting rematch. A rematch we really didn't see coming because it was supposed to be Conor McGregor and Michael Chandler in the main event. Unfortunately, Conor breaks his pinky toe, cannot fight. The fight will be rescheduled. And in steps these willing warriors, Ferreira and Prohaska. They put on a show last time. I expect no different this time around.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it. It's going to be a fantastic fight. Second time around. Interesting to see how it all plays out once again. But yeah, as you mentioned there, both willing warriors stepping up at short notice like that. You got to say kudos to them. Fantastic stuff. But let's get into what I've missed. I haven't watched much UFC. I told you that before we went on there. Gotta be honest. But Oscar, you've been here watching the UFC, and we'll talk about that UFC Saudi Arabia card just quickly. Robert Whittaker beating Alex Garov in pretty easy fashion, should we say, within a round. Oscar, talk to me about that. It looked like it was just too far. The levels looked too far reached for Islam. It was too much to overcome.
Islam took this on about a week's notice. It was supposed to be Hamza Chimaev in there. Hamza Chimaev falls ill. Whitaker is still willing to fight anybody. And he looked as good as he's ever looked. This guy was champion several years ago. And in my opinion, he looked better than he did in any championship fight against Ikram Alaskarov, who's from Dagestan, has an amazing record. And he put him away in less than 2 minutes. That was an amazing knockout by Robert Whittaker, and I'm very excited for his future. After he lost to Dricus du Plessis, a lot of people were saying that this guy is now going to be on a decline. That's not the case. He just beat a young, hungry guy and made it look very easy. So Robert Whittaker looks like he is on the cusp of potentially getting in there to fight for the belt once again.
Yeah, definitely for sure. A great win for Robert Whittaker. Two back-to-back wins, I believe so. Good for the Reaper. Fantastic stuff. Yeah, two back-to-back wins against Paulo Costa and Ikram after losing to Dricus du Plessis. But yeah, good stuff from the Australian. Good to get two back-to-back wins. Obviously, he was meant to fight Hamza Chimaev. Do you think that's a fight the UFC will revisit and try and potentially book next? Hamza Chimaev. What do you think's in store next for the Aussie?
I think that fight does make sense. We just have to assume that Hamza Chimaev will be healthy. Dana White is targeting an October return for Hamza Chimaev in Abu Dhabi because it appears he has issues entering the United States. So they have to keep him in these international fight settings, and that is a fight that I still want to see. And it's going to be lot closer than some of the Hamza believers may think. Whitaker showed that he's still very dangerous. So I think
Yeah,
that fight. Obviously, the fight that makes the most sense is Sean Strickland. Sean Strickland will not take that fight. He has vehemently stated online that he will not take that fight. He will wait for the title shot. And honestly, I cannot argue with him because he had a very close fight in which he lost the title and he dog walked out of Adesanya. I think he has already earned the right to fight for the title after beating Paulo Costa. So let's do Whitaker and Chimaev and hope that both guys actually show up.
Yeah, I'd love to see that fight. Hopefully, potentially in Saudi Arabia again. Hopefully UFC capture that. A better relationship. Obviously, I'd love to see that relationship with Turkey, Alex Sheesh, happening down the line, and Dana White. So yeah, some good stuff. Long way to get back to winning ways. Good to see him. Obviously, well, not back to winning ways. Getting two back-to-back wins now. Alexander Volkov versus Sergey Pavlovich was in the co-main event. This one between two, former friends, training partners, got a little bit ugly, didn't it, heading into the fight week? And it also stayed ugly after the fight as well. Oscar talked to me about that. Volkov put on a clean performance, battered and bruised Sergey Pavlovich on the feet. So, yeah, wasn't a great look for Pavlovich. He got bloodied. The range and the strike and technicality of Volkov just appeared too much.
I picked Sergey Pavlovich by knockout in this just because for most guys his power has simply been too much. But I overlooked the fact that these guys are trained before, and Volkov had probably developed a way to avoid the power shift, and that's what he did. Stayed at range, put on a masterclass performance, and Pavlovich looked like he got in a car accident after the fight. And you see Volkov in the corner, just getting his hair combed, like nothing's going on. Absolutely no care in the world. He looked great in this. He's now on a 4-fight win streak, which is the biggest win streak in the whole division. So I believe he deserves to step up next. Who will it be? We don't know, but he's really on a nice trajectory. After a lot of people kind of put him to the wayside after his losses to Volkov, Blades, and Lewis, he's still a player in this division. And the John Jones fight would actually be pretty interesting because he can match that height and reach of John Jones. So I'm still
Yeah,
interested in that. For Pavlovich, it's back to the drawing board. He needs to develop another wrinkle to his game that's not just power punching.
yeah, definitely. Sergey Pavlovich, and there was definitely fight week drama with Kevin Gastelum, struggling to make weight 170 pounds. When I heard he was going down to welterweight, I thought it wasn't. I don't know how it was going to turn out. Yeah, he couldn't make weight. He had problems. And obviously they agreed at 185 pounds. Daniel Rodriguez accepted. Kelvin Gastelum gets the win. But what I heard is that it wasn't a great look for Kelvin Gastelum. Oscar, can you elaborate?
Alvin Gastelum did not make weight because he claims he didn't have access to the right foods or whatever. I don't care what his excuse is. It's unacceptable. Daniel Rodriguez was planning on making the weight, had every intention of doing it. And midway through fight week, Calvin Gastelum informs him that he can't even make a catch weight of 180, but then 10 pounds above the agreed limit. So they go to 185 middleweight. And Calvin Gastelum makes the limit there, and Daniel Rodriguez has to like eat a bunch of carbohydrates and drink a lot of water just to make the 185. So it's a horrible look for Calvin Gastelum, and he used that weight advantage in this fight to get takedowns. And honestly, I think Daniel Rodriguez has every right to that 30% of the purse that he received. So there's really nothing much to say here, but Kevin Gastelum cannot be trusted to make welterweight ever again. This was his second chance, and he failed miserably. This guy has to fight at middleweight or just be cut.
Yeah, the one good thing, well, I don't think it's good, but the one thing that Daniel Rodriguez can take out of this is he's got a new 6-fight deal with UFC and a pay rise. That's probably about it. But yeah, not a great look for Kelvin, but obviously the UFC giving back to Daniel for taking the fight and just agreeing taking the fight, etc. A few good performances on this card. None other than Sharon Magomedov. He got the victory in the third round. Talk to me about Sharon Magomedov. What is his ceiling? He's 13-0 now. He's showing some talent, especially on the feet. What do you see like? What do you feel his ceiling is inside MMA, and especially inside the UFC?
Star Magomedov is still in his early 30s. I do think he can develop his ground game, his takedown defense a little bit so he can compete more with the higher ranks in the division. But the truth is, I don't think we'll see him in the top 10 of this division simply because his inability to avoid getting controlled by these guys. He was fighting somebody who was supposed to fight the week prior. then accepts the fight midway through the week, flies to Saudi Arabia, has to cut weight in the air, and he still was able to control him for significant amounts of this fight. So Tricoli is obviously not a high level guy. He did get finished in round three after he gassed out brutally. Sarah, if he keeps on fighting this level of competition, it's going to look like $1 million. But you put him in there with, like, say, a Bo Nickel, uh, another wrestler, maybe even a level below that, he's going to struggle. So I think the UFC has to take it slow with Sarah because he is a star. When people see this guy's face, they pay attention. That's simply the truth. And he's got a very exciting style. So UFC needs to protect this guy.
Yeah, Bold Nickel was a guy that he called out after the fight as well. So Oscar saying it's not a great idea for Shara Magomedov to maybe take that route. But yeah, next one, Volkan Oezdemir versus Johnny Walker. Yeah. How do we sum this one up? Johnny Walker, a guy that potentially, well, not potentially, he can't take a shot. He can't take flush shots to the chin. It's just not a great idea. It's not a great look, and he's had a lot of these in the last few years where he gets knocked out badly. I can name a few. Obviously, this one, Volkan Oezdemir, Jamal Hill. He's not had the greatest of look. Oscar, talk to me about this. Volkan Oezdemir, displaying what his nickname is. No time, went in there, put the pressure on, let his hands go. And I think that was the best strategy because ultimately, if you clip Johnny Walker, he's going to go to sleep.
Well, this kind of made me feel bad for Johnny Walker here. Usually, I don't feel all that bad for guys that lose in knockout, but when you lose that many times, like Johnny Walker does, in such memeable fashion, if you will, he falls in such an awkward manner that's easy to mock and whatnot. It's rough. He's in a very tough position because he has gotten a couple of quality wins in the past. He's still, I believe, it's a top 10, but he just cannot take a shot from these guys. So I don't think we'll ever see him reach the top five ever again. And for Volkanovski, this is a nice bounce back spot. A lot of people, similar to Volkov, as I mentioned earlier, kind of said he was kind of done in the upper levels, and now he's getting these good wins. He's on the next run, and I think you could put him in there with a step up in competition. And I like his call out. He called out Jamal Hill fight in Paris in September, and I love that fight.
Yeah, I'd like to see that one go down. Volkan Oezdemir getting back to winning, getting 2 back-to-back wins. Good stuff from Volkan. Moving over to the prelims. Like I said to Oscar before going, I didn't catch most of these. So Oscar, talk to me about the best of the prelims. Obviously, he talked to me about Jared Gordon, getting the split decision loss. Could have went the other way. Felipe Lima, Renat Fakadumov, Nomov, whatever his name is. So talk to me about the prelims. The good, the bad, and the ugly.
So the best of the prelims was that fight, what would have been fight of the night. These guys did not get a bonus because they gave out a ton of performance bonuses, but they were going to award a fight of the night. It would have been Hackcross and Forden. Both guys landed over 140 significant strikes total in this fight. They were just going at each other at a relentless pace. I really have to credit both guys. Their cardio base in this. Gordon, I felt, did more. Not only did he outland him, I felt like he had bigger moments. Hackcross, I feel, should not be on the winning streak that he is on. He's like on a 5-fight win streak now. It should have been ended by Gordon. Instead, Gordon gets screwed by the judges once again. This is a tough pill to swallow because back in 2022, he got screwed by the judges in the Paddy Pimblett fight. So Jared Gordon should not be ashamed here. He should just be a little frustrated at these judges.
Yeah, needs to start putting away. The debutant of Felipe Lima, Octagon MMA champion, came over into the UFC on short notice, taking on Mohamed Naimov, and he put on a performance, didn't he? Getting a submission victory in round 3. He was training, he was preparing to defend his belt against Jonas Magard. What would have been a fantastic event at Octagon 59. But he steps in at short notice for an opportunity at the UFC. He was ready for 5-5s. His cardio was all on display, and he got a submission victory in round 3. Oscar, another contender in the 145-pound division. How good does that feel to get Felipe Lima inside the UFC and obviously put on a good performance?
Whenever Lenny highlights these Octagon MMA fighters, They'll just think that they're just good for their region. These guys can come into the UFC and just wreck these guys. Naimov, in his debut, he knocked out Jamie Malarkey. He was on a nice winning streak, and Felipe Lina comes in here, week's notice, and choked him out in round three after outpacing him. And he was the guy that came in on short notice. Lima's very legit. This wasn't even his real weight class. When he goes down to 135, it's going to look even better.
Yeah, absolutely. Only losing on his debut in that's his only loss. Since then, a 12-fight winning streak, beat some fantastic nines in obviously beating Jonas Magard, winning that belt against Jonas, and now his debut inside the UFC against Marin Naimov, and he looked fantastic. So good stuff. There are a few good Octagon stars that I'd like to see cross over, and you know. We'll see what happens. None other than Shamrock. Shamrock is that I'd love to see cross over to the UFC. Fantastic fight, grappler, ridiculous. So yeah, good stuff. Oscar, what about the rest? How did they play out? And anything to talk about? Obviously, it's 4 decisions. What can we talk about there?
Really have to say, Milin Gafarov looked outstanding against Kung Ho Kang. He really showed why he belongs in the UFC. He was throwing these epic combos, these amazing right kicks, using his grappling here and there. He looked outstanding up there. I really have to say that. And Renat Bakardinov against Selby, that was a very fun back and forth fight. Another fight that could have gone either way. People felt that Selby did enough, but it kind of reminds us that there's a real ceiling on Renat Bakardinov. A lot of people thought he was going to be a championship material after he choked out Kevin Lee. But you have to face the truth that Kevin Lee is not that much of a high level fighter these days. I heard he's coming back from retirement. I'm curious where that leads to, but Renat appears to hit the ceiling of his career.
Yeah, another is it Tajikistan fighter, huge fan base over there as well. They stay up late in the morning to watch their fighters, so a great little market for the UFC to tap into as well. So yeah, fantastic event. Obviously, I didn't get to watch much, but I watched Robert Whittaker versus Ikram, Volkov, Sharon Magomed, Bullet, and Volkan Oezdemir. So yeah, from what I watched, them 4 fights, I enjoyed it, but the rest I don't know. But yeah, overall, Oscar, how was the card?
I thought this was a great change from the Apex. I hate the Apex with a passion. That Perez Tyler card was a miserable watch, and having an enthusiastic crowd in there. Of course, they only really cheered for the Russian fighters because it's that region, but they were still very enthusiastic. I feel like Sara Magomedov got the biggest reaction tonight. That guy is star in that region, and they announced that they will be returning in Q1 of 2025. So I'm very excited for that event. I think it'll be very stacked.
Yeah, the Bullet is a star and also a film star. I'm hearing he's going to appear in
He's in the
in a
U.S.
movie.
Yeah, I have no idea what
Yeah,
it is. And speaking of film, that's another director of the Justice League, with Turkey Al who runs the sports over there in Saudi Arabia, about making a UFC film, which I think would be fantastic. Maybe The
yeah,
Rise of Conor McGregor. That would be a great film. Whatever they want to do, it would be absolute cinema. And I say, when we talk about cinema, let's stare down behind you between Yuri Prohaska and Alex Pereira is cinematic.
yeah. Absolutely, some fantastic stuff. We're going to get another one of them this weekend, so I'm looking forward to it. Let's talk about that main event at UFC 303 in Las Vegas. As we talked about, International Fight Week. Short notice main event, but a really good main event. It was meant to be McGregor Chandler, but we still got a big fight. We still got a big card. So Alex Pereira versus JIRI Prochazka in the main event of UFC 303. It's some fantastic stuff. I'm loving it. Let's talk about it. First meeting, Alex Pereira knocks him out. The leg kicks were a crucial part in that fight. Alex Pereira just landing at will, just chopping away. Jiri, since then, has fought Rakic. He got the job done, but the same problem remained. He didn't check them leg kicks, and I still think that's the key to victory for Alex Pereira. He chops down the leg kicks, he makes Jiri Prochazka vulnerable, and then he puts him away. I think it's the same outcome. I think Alex Pereira puts him out cold, and we see, and still Alex Pereira, POATAN, boom.
completely agree with you. The leg kicks were the key to the victory in that last fight. As soon as Yuri started to feel that swelling in his legs, it felt like they were stuck in mud. Couldn't really use his footwork as he usually does. So Lex Pereira just crowded him and landed that iconic left hook for the knockdown. Yerbroska off right back up, attempts the takedown, gets hit with a bunch of elbows while he's trying to take down. Pereira lands in mount, and Mark Goddard stopped the fight. And many would say that was an early stoppage. So, but this rematch makes me very curious because Mark Goddard is not the ref for this one. It's going to be Herb Dean, and Herb Dean is very inconsistent. Sometimes he does an early, sometimes he does a late. We'll see how this one goes. I do think this will not go the distance. Both guys hit incredibly hard, and we've seen both guys put this league before in their careers. And Pineda, as soon as last year, like I think it was March 2023, got put out cold by Israel Adesanya. So you cannot tell me that Yuri Prohaska is not capable of doing the same thing. But at the end of the day, Yuri Prohaska does not have great defense. It's always going to be an issue. He has his hands so low. So for that very reason, Prohaska plays confident in Alex Pereira, landing that left hook after he lands multiple tap kicks, hurting Yuri Prohaska. I feel like this one will be more back and forth. Yurpahata has to mix in wrestling every chance he gets because Pereira's his decision making when it comes to the ground is not to get up. It's to simply hold on to the guy for dear life and wait for the round to be over so that he can have another opportunity on the feet. So the pick is going to be Lex Pereira, knockout 1-3. It can be a little longer, a little more back and forth. He still gets his hand raised.
Yeah, completely agree. Looking forward to that fight in the main event. We both got POATAN, remaining and still. Good stuff. I'm looking forward to that. It's gonna be a fantastic fight. But we got another one. Another great fight, and that's in the co-main event. Brian Ortega to Diego Lopez at 155 pounds, not 145 pounds. It got moved obviously at this morning weigh-ins. 255 pounds. Problems with, I do believe, Ortega. And weight cutting. So, but I feel like I don't know whether he has made 155 pounds. I haven't been watching the weighing show, but hopefully, Oscar, can you confirm? Has
Yeah,
he made it? There we
yeah, he
are.
made
So,
155 pounds, but he did not look great.
wow. Okay. Well, does that change your pick, or does that influence your pick? Ortega is an underdog according to the betting lines. He's been around, he's fought for the championships, Holloway, Volkanovski, etc. Does that experience come into play, or does the talent of Diego Lopez, is what we've seen inside the UFC so far, just way too good? Put him away. I don't see Lopez choking him out, submitting him. I just think the Ortega Jiu-Jitsu is just way too good. I don't see that happening. I just don't know how I can see Lopez winning. I feel like I'm on the side of the experience of Ortega.
Oh, this is going to be the pick on fight of the week because Diego Lopez is one of my more confident picks this week simply
Wow.
because he is a shooting star and he looks almost unstoppable. To be honest, I have not picked him one time in his UFC run. I picked against him because of his acceptance of the bottom position, but it paid off for him. He finishes these guys anyway in round one. The only fight where he went the distance was his debut against Mozart Elo, but even that was very competitive. He was very close on getting some submissions in that fight. Diego Lopez, in my opinion, has the better striking, the more effective striking. Brian Ortega has leveled up his striking after he got humbled by Max Holloway. He came back, he destroyed the Korean Zombie. He hurt him bad with a spinning back elbow and left Korean Zombie on autopilot the rest of the fight. But you see the Volkanovski fight. That was competitive on the feet, but he just took so much damage in that fight. Then he comes back after a couple of years and he fights Yair Rodriguez. In that fight, he got knocked down within like the first 2 minutes of the fight. That was straight up chaos. And then he gets the takedown and chokes him out with an arm triangle. I believe that Diego Lopez is a significantly better grappler than Yair Rodriguez. I don't think he would get submitted so easily. So instead he goes to the ground. I think he can be defensively sound enough to survive there. And on the feet, Brian Ortega is incredibly hittable. He just gets hit so easily in these fights. So I can't really trust him to win on the scorecard, especially in a 3 round fight. 5 round fight benefits Ortega more because he has more of an opportunity to find the submission and a little bit of chaos. But I have to side with Diego Lopez in this fight. I also don't like that Brian Ortega changed the weight last second. Like Diego Lopez, he weighed in with a hack. I'll let you know that this guy was very low in weight recently. So I'm taking Diego Lopez. I think he wins this by outstriking Brian Ortega and staying safe on the ground. So yeah, Diego
Yeah.
Lopez, the rise will continue.
Yeah, I'm going. There's going to be told you so fight of the week. I'm calling it. I'm going for the experience of Brian Ortega. T City to get the job done and upset the odds. Fantastic stuff. I'm looking forward to it. This is a well matched fight, isn't it? On short notice as well.
Yeah, supposed to fight in the sphere, but it's been changed. And hopefully both of them can still make it to the sphere because the sphere needs every Mexican fighter they can get their hands on. It's going to be a very memorable one. I don't know if you saw that reel. It's going to be spectacular. And talking
Yeah,
about spectacular stuff, we were supposed to get Khalil Roundtree and Jamal Hill as the co-main event of this fight. And it's been molded into this fight, a completely different fight, even a fight involving a middleweight in Roman Delice, and he's taking on Anthony Smith. Before I talk now, how about you give yourself on this match?
Yeah, so I love Anthony Smith. I'm a huge Anthony Smith advocate fan. There's a few fighters on the roster that I love. Back in the day, when he was on like a really good four fight winning streak, and I just used to love watching him fight. It was Ryan Spann, Devin Crute, Jimmy Crute when he was just getting these finishes. Even before that, when he beat Gustafsson, lost John Jones, beat Volkan Oezdemir, Shogun, Rashad Evans. I used to love that Anthony Smith. I used to love, I've got like a picture of him on my wall somewhere. I think it's over there. So I'm a huge Anthony Smith fan, but against Roman Dolidze, who's also on a 2-fight losing streak, I've still got to go for my man Anthony Smith. Beating Ryan Spann, loses to Khalil Roundtree, he beat Vitor Petrino, but now he takes on Roman Dolidze, who, as you mentioned, 185-pounder stepping up, which essentially they both are. They were anyway. Smith was a middleweight, steps up to 205. But he's grown into the weight now. He's grown into 205. And I feel like if Dolidze steps up, which he might, I feel like he might have to have a few fights and for him to grow into the weight, same as Smith. But yeah, I'm not too sure, but I'm going with Anthony Smith. I'm going for the veteran. I'm going for the dog. I think Anthony Smith can get the job done. His experience, 37 and 19. That's a ridiculous amount of fights compared to Roman Dolidze, who's got 12 wins and 3 losses. That's 15 fights overall. Anthony Smith has lost more than he has ever fought. So, yeah, Anthony Smith. But I don't know how. I think the pick might be decision. I think that's the route for victory. But yeah, I'm going with Anthony Smith. Yeah, I feel like the experience might take over.
I'm gonna have to agree with you on this one. Roman Dolidze was supposed to fight on June 1st against Anthony Hernandez. Anthony Hernandez pulled out, so Roman Dolidze, training in the UFC, flew over to Georgia with his wife Diane Goldsmith, and he continued training there. But let's be honest, I don't think he was training at the same intensity, and not exactly peaking. He takes his fight about a week ago. Anthony Smith, on the other hand, was in camp with none other than the guy that was supposed to fight on this card, Jamal Hill, helping him prepare for Carlos Ulberg. So he stayed training in Colorado relatively full time. So Roman Dolidze, I think, will not have a cardio advantage whatsoever in this fight. We've even seen him with a full camp. His main event earlier this year against Nasruddin Imavov, he gassed out horribly in that fight. He looked like he was fighting in quicksand in that fight. And whenever it looked like it was going to get a little ugly in the pocket, he would just go and clinch him for dear life. He did not really do any damage when he was in that clinch, and that's not a good way to fight because you're not doing any damage. You're simply controlling the guy. I think Anthony Smith will use his size advantage in this fight because he is taller and he's got a reach advantage. So I think he uses that jab quite effectively here. Delisa is going to try coming in with these big, wide hooks. It's nothing that Anthony Smith has not seen before. So I believe Anthony Smith outpoints him. There will be a period in the fight where Anthony gets put on his back by Delise. Maybe he eats a couple power shots from Delise. I think Anthony Smith has shown on multiple occasions how tough he is. In fact, what was scary, his teeth were falling out of his mouth, and he just kept on going. He fought Ryan Spann, got hit with a flying knee, broke his orbital bone, kept on fighting, and went on to win that fight. After Ryan Spann gassed out, we could see a similar situation here. Anthony Smith, a lot to take him by the fist.
Yeah, absolutely agree. I'm looking forward to the fight. Anthony Smith, as I said, one of my favorites. So good to see him back. Lionheart against Roman Dolidze on the main card as well. Next one, Myra Brianna Silva versus Macy Chiasson. 135 pounds, female division. Talk to me about this one. Obviously, Brianna Silva, she's coming off the back of obviously that loss against Raquel Pennington. For the championship. That was the vacant championship. Now she takes on Mishi Chashon, who is now going into this one victory to her name, off the back of her name, sorry, against Piane Kanzed, sorry, where she got a rare naked choke. I feel like this one for me, I don't know. I think I'm confident with Breno Silva. I just don't see the level, or I don't think Miesi Chalson is on the level of these top 5, top 10. Maybe she's top 10, but not. I don't think she's top 5 quality.
I'm gonna have to agree with you here. Macy Siasan is coming off of a bit of a layoff after of course that 60 on that fight. She's coming off of a layoff. And Bueno Silva also a little bit of a layoff right in January. He didn't look good. Thirsty failed on multiple submission attempts. He gassed out and got outworked in that fight. Had a clinching. It was a very boring fight to watch. But here's the thing, it's only a 3-round fight, so I think she can go a little harder in this. And Chiasan, he likes to clinch a lot, and it's a dangerous position because Holly Holm tried to clinch Bueno Silva and got caught in an inch choke. Bueno Silva has shown the ability to tap out many opponents as soon as they give her the opportunity to grab a limb or a neck, whatever it is, she finds the opportunity. And if you look at Chiasan's fight with Irene Aldana, there was so many rambles in there. I feel like Aldana is not as good as Bueno Silva, so Bueno Silva will find the opportunity and he will get a submission. I'll say in round 2.
Yeah, agree. Looking forward to it. Mario Breno Silva against Macy Chiashon on the main card as well. The one I'm looking forward to the most though is Ian Machado Gary versus Michael Page. I love Michael Page. I've had the opportunity to watch him live in the arena, speak to him in person. He comes up against Ian Machado Gary, who's a fantastic prospect. Inside the UFC, he's 7-0. Michael Page 1-0. Obviously, his debut against Kevin Holland. But we know what he possesses. He's highlight reel ability, his striking, his precision. He can make elite strikers look stupid. Is this another case where Michael Page makes Ian Machado Gary miss and pay and potentially get knocked out? Or does Ian Machado Gary use his full talent and ability that we know he has? His clinch work, a little bit of wrestling and grappling, but mostly his precision, his timing as well on the feet. Does Michael Page make him miss and make him pay?
He doesn't. I think a lot of people are picking MVP, not exactly looking at this fight objectively. They hate Ian Machado Gary. They hate the fact that he's got this weird situation going on at home. They won't speak about that here. I'm talking about their skill set. Ian Machado Gary is a far better fighter. He's so much better. He's gotten multiple submissions in his career on the regional scene. Hasn't done it yet in the UFC. I believe that if Kevin Holland can hold down Michael Page, at certain points of the fight. I think Amy Salgueiro have no trouble doing the same. And Kevin Holland, we love him, but that IQ is not that high. He should have been a little more relentless with those takedowns. I think Amy Gary will realize that he's a bit outmatched in round one of this fight against Michael Page, where Mike MVP will be at his best in terms of speed, and he's gonna have that surprise factor. So I think MVP wins round one. I think he might clip Gary. We've seen Gary dropped in fights and hurt, but I think Gary has good fight IQ. He's gonna mix in that grappling, and it will be enough to get enough control time and get significant ground and pound to win the decision on the scorecards. Also on the feet, I really love MVP style, but he's very open to getting hit with those leg kicks. And don't there's no way that Ian Gary is not picked up on that. He's gonna go chopping at that leg. And I think he knows how to beat this style. I'm gonna pick Ian Gary here, the younger fighter with more at it this point in his career. I'm taking him in win by decision.
Yeah. This one I'm not too sure what to go. I love Michael Page. Obviously being a Brit. Well, they're both British. Well, I don't know whether Ian Gary counts himself as British, but he's Irish. Should we call him? So it's an Ireland versus English affair, should we say? But yeah, I'm looking forward to this one. I'm not too sure how it'll play out. That the question is, as I mentioned, does Michael Page make him miss and make him pay with his awkward, well, not awkward, his traditional freestyle karate or taekwondo, whatever it was, background. I'm not too sure. Ian Gary, he's 14-0. Every time he's had this step up, he's not sort of passed the test, but he just got over the line especially against his last outing against Jeff Neal. He just got over the line and gets a split decision victory. Now he takes on Michael Page, who, he's been in, at the top, against these good guys in Bellator, Douglas Lima, etc., knocking them out, beating, these. I feel like this is probably the hardest test of his career. But it's striking. It's striker versus striker, and I just don't know which way it's going to fall. But if Michael Page wants to, carry on with his UFC career or get to the top 5, be champion, he needs to get past Ian Gary because this is the test that essentially he needs to get to the top and fight Leon Edwards. But I'm not sure. I'm really not sure on this. I don't think I can actually give a pick. I don't know.
Wow. Yeah, well, I would. If you're looking at a striker versus striker matchup, I would say you should favor the guy that has the clear edge in the grappling, and that's why I'm taking Ian Gary.
That's smart. That's a smart pick. But the only people that we've that have taken down Michael Page and held him down was Logan Storley. Logan Storley has done it. There's a few other guys. Douglas Lima has done it. Well, not Douglas Lima, sorry. The only person that's held him down, be able to control him was Logan Storley. Do you feel like Logan or Ian Gary is on the level of Logan Storley or grappling or wrestling? I just see Michael Page being able to get himself back up to the feet and have a success.
Yeah, I would say he's definitely not the Logan Storley who's the credentialed college wrestler. But also Paul Daly actually has some grappling against MVP, so I have to factor that into. But Kevin Holland, I think he's better grappler than Kevin Holland for sure. So I have to go with him based on that. And also the benefit of having all that tape on MVP. There's going to be no surprise as to what MVP is going to do. We know what he's going to do. He's going to have his hands low, wing the counter, throwing out jabs, some kicks in the mix. I don't think Ian Gary will be too puzzled in there. He looks really confident if you hear him in the interviews.
Yeah, absolutely agree. I'm not too sure where it'll fold, or where it'll end up. But this is a tough one to call. So I'm looking forward to it. I haven't got a pick, and we'll move on swiftly to the prelim main event. That's Joe Pyfer versus Marc-André Barriot, the return of Be Like Joe Piper. He is now looking to get back to winning ways after his first first loss inside the UFC against Jack Manson. It was a huge step up. It was a huge step up. It was a huge ask for Joe Piper. But I still feel like there's no shame in the loss. He's young. He's still got a lot of room to work with, a lot of room to grow, and I feel like that's what he's going to get from that loss. And I feel like after this fight, he's going all the way back down in terms of competition against Marc-Andre Barriot. I feel like this is the guy that he should go in there and potentially dispatch, put away. The only chance that Marc-Andre has, I feel like, is with a big one lucky punch, which he has shown in the past. But I don't think he does that on Joe Piper. I don't think he clips him. So that's why I picked Joe Piper to get back to winning ways. I feel like these fights are the ones where he would look good and win.
Full disclosure here, I helped Marc-Andre Barrios announce this fight on his Instagram. I'm a big fan of what he does. He's tough as nails, puts a pace on his opponent, applies that pressure, and outlast them. That's what he does to a lot of his opponents in the UFC. That's why he stuck around so long in the UFC. Joe Piper, on the other hand, he's got this outstanding power. He does have very good wrestling and grappling. But in his last fight against Jack Hermanson, we kind of realized that this guy still has a lot of work to do. Jack Hermanson won every single round after round two, and he was getting a lot of momentum at the end of round two. Marc-Andre Barrios, I think we'll try to do a little bit of clinch work up against the cage here, try to wear down Joe Piper as much as possible because that is his key to winning this fight, is putting pressure on Joe Piper to wear him out. Because Piper's main weakness will be that cardio. So I strongly believe Joe Piper wins round one. He's going to win round one. He's going to be looking good. But I think come round 2 and 3, Marc-Andre Barrios will outpace him. And I think in round 3, we're going to see Joe Piper up and pumping, and Marc-Andre Barrios is going to be the fresher guy. He's going to win a close split decision if you ask me. But the full disclosure is I'm a little biased. That might have been the extra kick I needed to pick the big underdog Marc-Andre Barrios on this one.
Yeah, a -265 favorite is Body Bags, Joe Piper. So it would be good to see maybe Marc-Andre cash that in as a dog to +250, +210 according to Topology. Anyway, next one is a fantastic one between two veterans at 145 pounds. Cub Swanson versus Andre Fili. Two guys that have been inside the UFC for a very long time. As you look at these records, look, 14-9 for Cub Swanson inside the UFC, 11-10 inside the UFC for Andre Fili. Which side are you going? If you look at Cub Swanson, he's a slight underdog. Andre Fili, a slight favorite. 40 years old now is Killer Cub Swanson. So is the age a factor? Is he slowing down? Or does Andre Fili lose in the hands of Killer Cub?
I think we're looking at another very close fight. Andre Fili is the favorite in this because I feel people view him as a little more freshened, maybe not as weathered as Cub Swanson. Cub Swanson is already in the Hall of Fame. He went in last year for his fight against Doohoo Choi, which was an absolute banger. You should go see if you haven't already. Andre Fili got knocked out cold in his last fight against Ige. So I don't know how you can really trust his durability at this stage. He's been a guy that has never really gone on any win streak. He always wins one, lose one. That's been the story of his career, really. So Cub Swanson, he's had better days. He's 40 years old, fighting at 145 pounds. It's not good on paper. But if you look at the performances, his last fight against Hakeem Dawood, straight up robbery. I'll be the first one to say it. Hakeem Dawood won that fight very clearly. But Cub Swanson mixed in some wrestling, was able to have moments here and there on the feet. I feel like the fact that his children and his wife being in the front row might have swayed the judges a little bit. But still, I think he can have his moments in this fight against Andre Fili. And it's not out of the question for Cub Swanson to knock out Andre Fili, considering he just got knocked out by Dan Ige not too long ago. So I think Cub Swanson to win as an underdog in a close split decision fight. These guys are going to be exchanging back and forth. It's going to be a fun one, but I think Swanson is going to squeak this one out.
Yeah, I was going to go in in the hands of Killer Cub. I think he gets the job done. A good one. I think this is good matchmaking. Two veterans at the stage of their career. This is a fun one for the fans, isn't it? So I'm looking forward to that one.
Yeah, me as
Next
well. I
one.
love it.
Next one, we've got Oscar Silva previewing Charles Jourdain versus Gene Silva. Oscar Silva, are you going with Gene Silva, your man, or is it the Canadian Charles Jourdain getting the job done? Gene had a fantastic UFC debut against Weston Wilson. He's 1-0 inside the UFC. Now he takes on Charles Jourdain, he showed a little bit of his talent, showed some highlights, capabilities of what he can do. It's just putting it all together on the night and building that wins. He's coming off the back of a Sean Woodson split decision loss at UFC 297. Does Jourdain stop the highlight or stop the progression of Gene Silva, or does Gene Silva progress through Charles Jourdain and get the job done?
Well, I am going with Marcelo Silva here. But he just missed weight. He missed weight by a couple pounds. The fight is still going to happen, but I don't really like hearing that. Charles Jourdain is a very exciting fighter. You can always rely on him trying to go for a finish, trying something wild. But in his last fight against Sean Woodson, he didn't look great there. That was a split decision loss, but that was not a split decision. It was very clear that Sean Woodson fought his kind of fight, and he won that fight. He stayed a lot more disciplined than Charles Jourdain, basically using his jab, basic boxing, attacking the body here and there. While Charles Jourdain is just throwing these wheel kicks, just desperately trying to make something happen, unable to get any takedowns going. John Silva fights out of a fight merge with Caio Borralho and who else? Multiple quality Brazilians, and they change their game plan every fight depending on the opponent. And with Charles Jourdain, he's going to be the bull. Silva's going to have to be the Matador, I think, in this case. Jourdain is going to try the small stuff, and Silva's going to be there to counter him. John Silva also has some grappling in this fight. Jourdain has a proven quality guillotine. He can block out in jiu-jitsu, but I think Silva can handle himself on the ground. I think he gets some takedowns here, and Charles Jourdain gets stuck on bottom at points. And on the feet, I think he's going to be able to counter him effectively and win a decision.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this one. Gene Silva, some fantastic, what's the word? Fantastic hype after his last fight. But now he takes us the Charles Jourdain. I'm slightly on the favour of Charles Jourdain. 6-6 inside the UFC. Looking forward to this one. It's a good matchup. Gene Silva has got a great test in front of him. Let's see how it all plays out. Next one, 135 pounds. We've got a fantastic prospect in Peyton Talbot. Peyton, 135 pounds, one of the best prospects that we have at the moment. Dispatched Cameron Simon in his last fight. That was prospect versus prospects, and Peyton showed that he is the better out of the two. He's good. He's really good. He's fighting Yanis Gamori now. Yanis Gamori, the Frenchman. He was obviously in his UFC debut, got dispatched and lost against William Gomes. Body kick inside the third round in his UFC debut. I like Peyton. I think he's fantastic. He's flashy. His striking is very, very slick. He's very precise. I think he gets the job done. I think he beats Gamori. I am firmly on the train of the Peyton train.
I am as well, but minus 1,600, a 16-1 favorite. I think that is incredible. Yanis Gamori is not like a bad fighter by any stretch of the imagination. He's got a really good record, so he got crushed in his debut, but he's really not a bum. Peyton Talbot's not fighting a bum, so I don't really understand the minus 1,600. I feel like a lot of people got very excited after he destroyed Cameron Simon, got to around 9 but if you look at his UFC debut, that was against a low-level guy, was a solid wrestler. He even lost a round in that fight, getting taken down. of his back. I'm not saying Giannis Gamora is going to do any of that stuff, but let's just be a little cautious here. Maybe Peyton Talbot is not going to look like the next John Jones in this fight. He's going to win this fight, but I don't think I would get too excited about him being like one of the future legends quite yet. I haven't seen this out of him yet, but he's got insane potential. I think he finds himself getting a knockout win in round two because in his last fight, he showed an epic ability to get these counters going. Looked like he was in the Matrix almost. Should he be in that form, he's going to look spectacular. But I think we should not have him as that big of a favorite in the future because there's going to be some guys that can give him problems.
Yeah, yeah, 100% agree. When he gets to that top, top 10 or top 15, top 20, top 25, especially at 135 pounds, right? It's a deep division.
Yeah, for sure. Let's move on to the strawweight fight between Michelle Watterson Gomez and Gillian Robertson. What do you make of this one?
Yeah, Michelle Watterson, obviously, fantastic. Obviously, she's UFC veteran, MMA veteran, 6 and 8 inside the UFC. But she's on a 4-fight losing streak. And if there's anyone on a 4-fight losing streak, I just can't pick them. I just can't go. I can't go with them. She's lost against Marina Rodriguez, Amanda Lemos, Luana Pajero, Marina Rodriguez. Four, or if not, they're in the top 5, top 10 in the division, respectively. Gillian Robertson, we know what she possesses, and going into every fight, you know what she wants to do. You know what she wants to do. It's just whether you can stop it. I just don't know where Michelle Watterson is at in terms of confidence. In a 4-fight losing streak. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6-1 in her last 7 fights. Well, 1 and 6, 1 win, 6 losses in her last 7 fights. I just can't pick her. And that said, I'm going with Gillian Robertson by decision or potentially, submission.
I'm going to have to agree with you there. Gillian Robertson is the most prolific submission artist in female UFC history. Nobody gets a rear naked choke like she does. And she was doing the majority of that work. Like flyweight. Now she went down a weight class to strawweight, where she has a strength advantage over these women. She even fought Rose Namajunas in a grappling match, choked her out in 30 seconds. So she's one of the best grapplers we have in this division currently. And Michelle Watterson Gomez is a striker. That's what she does. She does have a black belt in jiu-jitsu, but let's be real, we haven't seen her show it off whatsoever. She's been tapped out on multiple occasions to Rose Namajunas and Amanda Lemos. I think Gillian Robertson will be at a mismatch on the feet. Gillian Robertson is nowhere near like as clean as Michelle Watterson Gomez. Gomez will have the higher strike count, but it won't matter because eventually Watson Gomez is going to throw some kick or something, and we're going to get a takedown from Gillian Robertson. Robertson will start at half guard, work her way to the back of Michelle Watterson Gomez. I'll say around round 2 when she's wore down a little more, and she's going to get choked out. And my prediction is that she'll retire after this fight.
Wow. Completely understandable. I can see that definitely happening as well. Next one, we got a heavyweight. And you can't have a card without 2 sloppy heavyweights, or at least a heavyweight fight. Martin Bidet versus Andre Arlovsky. Andre Arlovsky has fought inside the UFC for a very long time. Just look at that record for God's sake. 23 and 17 inside the UFC. The gatekeeper of the heavyweight division. That's his title. It's got to be. As of late, 3-fight losing streak. Losing against Marcos Rodrigo de Lima, rear naked choke. Losing to Dontel Maines, getting knocked down and ground strikes. Losing a unanimous decision for Wilder Cortez Acosta. Now Martin Bidet, he suffered his first loss inside the UFC in his last outing against Shamil Gaziv, where he got finished via punches, DKO. This one, I do believe Andre Arlovsky, his time has been run. the race is done. At 45 years old, and still inside the UFC. I know we're talking about heavyweights, but I still feel like 45 years old. Eventually, you're going to slow down, and I feel like we're seeing the natural progression and the aging of a talent and an athlete. Andre Arlovski, he's done it all inside the UFC. He's won a championship, etc. He's beat some good names, lost to some, had some really good fights. But I think the time is now. I think Martin Bidet not steamrolls him, but I think he cruises to a comfortable win.
I have to agree with you there. When I saw that Andre Arlovski is now 45, my eyes almost popped out of my head. That is crazy to be fighting in the UFC at that age. Very few guys can do well for themselves at that age. Like guys like Randy Couture, Mark Coleman, Dan Henderson. Those are like the very few guys that have been able to do it. Uh, Luckily for Arlovski, he's not fighting the upper echelon. Otherwise, he would have been done a while ago. He's fighting Martin Buday, but Martin Buday got destroyed against Camille Kazib. That wasn't a competitive fight. Kazib was extremely aggressive and overwhelmed him with pressure. Arlovski doesn't fight that way anymore. Arlovski, ever since he had these tough losing streaks, he's learned to not throw the full power. He's just been happy to have this point fighting style. And Martin Buday, I think, will go and try to clinch Arlovski and attempt a takedown here too. He was able to get a Kimura over Josh Parisian. And we've seen Arlovski, whenever he goes to the ground these days, he just gets up the rear naked choke immediately, doesn't even fight it. Like Tom Aspinall and Marcos Rogerio de Lima were able to submit him within seconds of getting him to the ground. So that's a possibility in this fight. But still, I think Marbuday, being the younger man by a significant margin, will be able to have maybe a higher strike output, but also some control time up against Gates. Maybe a takedown here or there. Arlovski said that this might be his last UFC fight because he's actually negotiating with another American promotion to leave the UFC.
I'm not too sure who would take a 45-year-old heavyweight, probably the PFL. He's been inside the UFC for a very long time, so that's interesting. I'm interested. I'm not
And
too sure.
maybe Greenbred FC or Bare Knuckle. You never know. And Roswell Arlovski Bare Knuckle, I wouldn't say no.
Yeah, BKFC maybe that could be an opportunity, especially they're getting Yoel Romero as well. So, but yeah. Anyway, yeah, I agree. Martin Bidet, I feel like just not wipes the floor, but just cruises to victory and gets the job done. Next one at flyweight. This one's gonna be a fantastic one because if you look at Ray, I don't know how to say his second name. Oscar, do you know how to say his second name? I'm calling him Ray.
Saruya. The T is silent.
Okay. Yeah. Ray, I'm going to call him Ray for this one. I'm picking him because apparently, anyway, I've heard this from the grapevine that corner him will be Shinzeki Nakamura, the WWE superstar. Is that accurate?
That is true. Shinsuke Nakamura, former Royal Rumble winner, former Intercontinental Champion, WWE legend, will be in his corner as we see more TKO crossovers. So I love to see that.
And that's all I need to hear. Because if things do go
well,
I think Nakamura gets in the cage and calls him out, gets the money in the bank, and that's it. It's over. I'm joking.
You never know. Nakamura actually has a winning record in MMA, believe it or not. And Brock Lesnar actually faced off against Nakamura in Japan. So Nakamura's got a profile. And Ray Saruya has a great profile as well. 9-0. And I feel like a lot of people are making very justifiable comparisons to Tatsuro Taira because he's like very similar to him. He's one of the best wrestlers we have coming out of Japan in MMA currently. He has that similar side to Tatsuro in which he prefers to grapple and wants to get on top of guys and just smash them. I feel like he has better ground and pound than Tatsuro Taira. And on the feet, I feel like it's comparable to Tatsuro Taira as well. He's got this good you see, check out that record on Nakamura in the corner. Saruya will do just fine on the feet here. And Hernandez already has experience fighting none other than Tatsuro Taira. And he struggled. He got countered in that fight and finished with ground and pound. I think we're going to see more wrestling from Saruya. He's going to take him down. And I say in round 2, he overwhelms him with damage on top, raining down ground and pound. That's the second round TKO win.
Yeah, Ray to zero. I agree. I think he gets the job done. Um, Carlos Hernandez fights a Japanese guy in Tazatari, as you mentioned, and then he fights another one, another prospect. 14-0. He last fought against Tatsutara, now 9-0. So yeah, they're feeding him the Japanese prospects, so some good stuff. No way Shinzeke is in MMA. Yeah, Nakamura. Once upon a time, did fight inside in MMA in 2004. Had a draw against Ken Shamrock.
It's not easy. That's not easy. Ken Shamrock, one of the legends of the sport, one of the pioneers, competed at UFC 1, straight up like and fought for the light heavyweight title at some point. And Nakamura, I think, would be at a size disadvantage against Ken Shamrock. That's a little bit of a taste of what we have coming this Saturday. And the opener, I think, should not be the opener. I think this is very disrespectful to Ricky Simone, who had a main event against Sanji Dong last year. Like September last year, he was in a main event. Now he's opening up the card. That to me is very good. He used to be in the top 15 as well, having these great fights. I know he had a couple tough last fight against Tang Yudong, losing via fifth round TKO. Then the Mario Batista fight, he got outpaced in that one. But he's taking on a very exciting guy in Vinicius Oliveira, who had a knockout of the year contender in his last fight. An epic flying knee in round 3 of a fight that also received the fight of the night bonus. So that was one of the most memorable moments of this year for me. But here's the thing, he's one of these very chaotic strikers. But you see this guy on the ground. Doesn't look high level at all. Bernardo Sopai was on the cusp of finishing him in rounds 1 and 2, landing a lot of ground and pound. He's even been submitted before. Ricky Simone is a better wrestler than Bernardo Sopai. He's so powerful in this division, very athletic. I think he's gonna make Vinicius Oliveira look like he's not on his level here. He's gonna remind him why he was in the top 15. This is a big step down from Mario Batista, if you ask me. So Ricky Simone usually doesn't get these finishes, but in this case, I think Oliveira is available to get finished. I'll say in round 2, Simone has shown a good arm triangle in the past. That's his favorite submission. I think he gets that arm triangle in round 2.
I agree, but I'm going with guillotine. That's my choice to
Yeah,
pick.
that's how he got Marab about Philly, allegedly, because there's a little debate
Yeah,
over that. It was Marab asleep, was he not? But Marab Philly, who's on the biggest winning streak in this division today, who's gonna fight for the belt next. He beat him in his UFC debut. So I don't know how he's not getting more respect.
yeah, agree. If you look at Vinicius, his 3 losses inside MMA, a knockout loss against Ali Taleb, a knockout loss against Adrian Ramos, and a doctor stoppage against Christian Cuinos, in 2018. And the last time he lost was 2022 when he got knocked out. So maybe if you look at the last few fights of can Ricky Simone maybe land the punch, a wrestler's overhand right.
Yeah, he does have power. He was able to knock out Rafael Asensio and hurt him that way. He had a competitive fight on the feet with Rob Font. So my mistake. I said he got submitted before. He did not. But he will get submitted by Ricky Simone because in the Bernardo Sopai fight, he looked hopeless in certain points of that fight, just getting annihilated with ground and pound. I think Ricky Simone is very opportunistic, and he's even submitted guys that haven't been submitted before, even guys that haven't lost before. In the Jack Shore fight, he stopped him with his athleticism. He was able to score a knockdown and then got that arm triangle quite easily. This is a big step down, and I think he's going to remind people why he should be higher up in the rankings.
Yeah, definitely for sure. I think if you have definitely got a point, I'm going Marika Simone as well. After a knockout contender, knockout of the year contender from obviously Vinicius Oliveira, it's going to be a tough call to back that up. But yeah, he's got a tough ask against Ricky Simone. But yeah, let's talk about his card overall. Obviously, not what it was meant to be. It was meant to be McGregor versus Chandler. But talk to me, Oscar. What the UFC have gone through, do you feel like the card is still delivered? Because we lost McGregor, we lost Chandler. Do you feel like they've turned it round and made it still into a great card for International Fight Week?
I think they've done a really good job of recovering, doing a lot of chaos control after Connor stepping out. And they put in two guys that the fans respect a lot in Alex Pineda and Yuri Prochazka. We respect these guys because they have given us unforgettable moments these past couple of years. They're never in boring fights, and that's what we can expect here. Very exciting fight. And also to make up for the fact that they lost that fight, they made sure to bring in Brian Ortega and Diego Lopez on short notice. And those are two other fighters that have given us epic moments. Particularly Diego Lopez in the last year has given us great first round finishes. So guys with that kind of reputation, you love to see them fight. And this is a fight card worthy of an international fight week, if you ask me.
What's your most anticipated fight outside of the main event and the co-main event? What's your pick? For the one that you're looking forward to the most.
Well, obviously, I have to go with Ian Machado Gary and Michael Venom Page. These guys are on a trajectory to fight for the championship, but if the guy loses, it's going to really lower their stock here. Especially, I would say MVP because of his age. It's going to be harder for him to bounce back. Ian Machado Gary is only 26. That's part of the reason why I'm taking him here. But yeah, very exciting fight. And if you ask me, you can make that the co-main event without issue.
Yeah, I'm very surprised that's the opener, but they want to get the eyes on straight away. I feel like that's the plan. They want to get the eyes, the eyeballs, everybody in the arena straight away for the main card. And if you're not there watching Michael Page versus Ian Gary, I don't know what you're doing. So make sure you're there to watch that, whether you're watching it in live in the arena or you're watching it on ESPN Plus on pay-per-view. So yeah, fantastic stuff. Oscar, we are back. That's UFC 303. Thank you very much. What have you got anything to say before we let them go?
Yeah, make sure to join us next week as we recap UFC 303. And after that, we do have a week off. There's no fights the Saturday after, and then UFC is going to Denver, Colorado. So we're gonna have a epic recap show because I believe that card is going to deliver. But to that, Rose Namajunas, Tracy Cortez, that is not the main event. Tapology has not updated their website. According to Tracy Cortez's coach, Santino DeFranco, he said that is now a 3-round co-main event. And the word is Kevin Holland is currently negotiating an opponent for the new 5-round main event of this card. He's been offered. Wow. He's been offered. Who was it? Jared Cannonier, but Jared Cannonier apparently is on a suspension. After obviously getting some tough in his last fight against Nasruddin Imavov. There's been rumors that Shaul Magomedov could fight him as well, but ultimately we're not certain about that. It's going to be exciting either way. Kevin Holland always puts on a show. Yeah, very very excited about that. Also, Chris Weidman is in the mix according to Helen Yee. So I think that's the most likely one. Kevin Holland and Chris Weidman, two big names. I would not be mad at that main event.
Absolutely agree. Looking forward to that one. Love to see Rose Namajunas fight whenever she does. Thug Rose, obviously she returned back to winning ways against Amanda Ribas. So yes, good to see her if she fights against, well, when she will fight against Tracy Cortez in a 3-round fight. Oscar, that's it. Thank you very much. UFC 303 goes down this weekend. International Fight Week. Alex Pereira versus JIRI Prochazka in the main event. Will it be POATAN or will there be a new champion in JIRI Prochazka? We're going to have to find out. We're going to have to wait and see. Make sure you join us next week, as Oscar mentioned, where we recap it all and we talk about what happened. That's the most, that's what I look forward to, where we get to talk about everything that happened on this weekend. We don't know what's going to happen this week. All we can do is speculate and talk. Ultimately, what happens in the cage this weekend is, is what matters. We can only talk about who we think is going to win, and that's probably about it. So, anyway, that's a very good bye for me. Oscar, let's send them off.
And make sure to enjoy UFC 303 and all the other fights.
Absolutely. Catch you next week. Thank you very much. A very good